The IHU variant is here. Yes, you heard that correctly. The IHU. In internet parlance, we all know what that means, so we will talk just a bit about what's going on with that and what that means for the world coming forward. A science teacher with no medical qualifications vaccinates a student and gets hit with major backlash. Democrats are planning a memorial to those who lost their lives because we all know the only person who lost their lives from the January 6th Selfie Fest, so we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that. And the highway in Virginia is moving once again, so hopefully everybody got off alive, safe, and nobody got hypothermia. We'll talk just a bit about what's going on with there, and the bad behavior that Ralph Northam decided that he had to come up with right at the end because he's Ralph Northam. It is going to be all this and more. You're just mad you can't date me. I'm J. Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, Edheads. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is J. Edgar, and we have got, well, they're filling the news cycle back up. We got quite a few tabs up on the top here today over on Contemporary, including, yes, a new variant. And it's called the IHU. They actually called it the I Hate You variant. I don't know if that was deliberate or if that's just a happy-ass accident or anything else that goes on with, but they actually called it the I Hate You variant. What? Really? I mean, why not come right back out and say it? Why not throw a mysterious Greek letter onto the goddamn thing? That's what I can't figure out, but yeah, that's coming too. They have something else that they have to come back and scare the shit out of you for here, because Omicron went absolutely nowhere, and hey, people are starting to think, hey, it might be time to go back out and make my own living instead of letting the government do it for me. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that here. But we've got that. We've got plenty more to get to over here on Contemporary. So let's get the live chat up over here so I can see, make sure nobody's strangling each other over here. But let's get into it and let's get started. So before we do, make sure you guys go check out the webpage. Coming soon, TurnSomePagesProductions.com. Go and check that out, and also go check out great shows such as the Porch Boys, The Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, and the new project that Britt has coming out with Sean Hickman. That's not going to be the Freckles and Britt show anymore, but still go back out and check that out. It's going to be a great time. A great time for all people involved with that. I know Britt's pretty excited for her new digs. Steven is back right up on, and even after 24 hours is up doing the Daily Ignoramus the next day. So absolutely go check all of them out. They're all great follows. They're all great people to have around, and, well, I consider them all great friends. So go and check all of those shows out. Let's get into the finance for the morning, shall we? The Dow actually closed a record once again yesterday, up to 36,799 points. That was up throughout most of the day. Of course, I waited to get this turned over until after 7:30, so they won't tell me what the percentage was. But once we look in at CNBC, they will tell us the percentage. But yes, the Dow is going up right now. Looks like it might be faltering just a little bit at this point because, well, it's looking like it's sitting flat at the futures, but we'll see what happens with that. Your Bitcoin is at... checked this last night. Let's check this again. Your Bitcoin is at $46,368 US dollars and 70 US cents. That is up another 1.21%. So what people sold off for the holidays is starting to get bought back up for that. Refer to your individual cryptos if this number does not reflect what it is that you're seeing right now. Looking at your industrials. Copper is on the rise. Steel and aluminum are on the fall right now. Looking in at your individual plays, number 1, bare bright copper wire is up, tubing is up, flashing copper is down, number 2, tubing is down, insulated wire is down, THHN wire is up, Romex and brass shells are all up. Looking in at steel. Conduit steel is down. Light iron is down. Number 1 steel is down. Cast iron is down. Rotors are down. Complete car is down. Shreddable steel is down. Stainless steel is down. You're sensing a pattern here. On aluminum, siding is down. Aluminum copper fin radiator is down. Radiators are down. Cans are up. Sheet aluminum is down. Rims are up. Individual plays. Motors are up. Ballasts are down. Lead is down. Car and truck batteries are also down. Catalytic converters continue to rise in value. Compressors are down. Alternators are down. Carbide is up. Hard drives. Motherboards are both down. Power supplies, low-grade boards, and PC towers are all up. Check your scrap, see what is going to work best for you to bring in right now, and adjust accordingly. Looking in at Investors Business Daily for the morning. Dow Jones Futures market rally divided as bond yields spike. GM leads 9 stocks in buy zones. From Ed Carson. Dow Futures and S&P 500 futures dipped Wednesday morning while NASDAQ futures fell modestly. The stock market rally diverged on Tuesday. Is that what they call the K-shaped recovery? K-shape? With the Dow Jones and S&P hitting fresh records while the NASDAQ fell sharply, though it closed well off intraday's lows. Surging Treasury yields drove much of the action. The 10-year yield rose 4 basis points to 1.67%, just below 7-month highs after surging 12 basis points on Monday. Financial stocks boomed again, with Wells Fargo, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Raymond James Financial, and Ameriprise Financial breaking out or triggering trendline buy points. Energy stocks also continued to rally as crude oil prices moved back towards recent highs. EOG Resources and Diamondback Energy broke out, while Pioneer National Resources was among shale stocks breaking trend lines near their 50-day moving averages. GM, Ford, and Toyota led traditional automakers higher, booming on very heavy volume. GM and Toyota reported better than expected U.S. auto sales for the fourth quarter, with the latter becoming the first foreign automaker to be number 1 in the U.S. for a full year. Ford says it'll double F-150 Lightning production. That still hurts, by the way. The little part of me, deep down in my heart, hurts a little bit to hear that particular model called the Lightning, and I understand why. I really do. Because it's cool and it's electric, but the F-150 Lightning is always going to be, to me, the more premium engine, which in this case would be the 302 V8 like I have. The more premium engine in the vehicle, coupled with a supercharger, with side outlet exhaust in front of the rear tires. But I understand everything's going. With GM set to unveil the Silverado EV on Wednesday. GM stock jumped 7.5%, breaking out past 2 buy points. Ford and TM stock respectively raised higher, 11.7% and 6.9% at both highs and out of range. Meanwhile, EV makers such as Tesla retreated. Though Tesla stock is still in buy range, most of Tesla's EV peers fell much more. Chip stocks also tumbled. Nvidia and AMD stock once again fell below their 50-day lines, though the latter closed at just above the key level. There's a fruit fly in here. Medical stocks continued to struggle broadly after faring well late last year. Finally, the heavy-selling software continue with holdouts, late 2021 holdouts such as Fortinet, plunging to start the new year. But if you're counting, that's 9 stocks. This article flashed buy signals on Tuesday. JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Raymond James, Ameriprise, EOG, Diamondback, Pioneer, Natural, and GM. Tesla, Nvidia, AMD, and Ameriprise are on the IBD leaderboard. Ford is on Swing Trader. Fortinet is on IBD long-term leaders. Tesla stock and AMD are on the IBD 50. Raymond James Financial was the IBD stock of the day. On your futures. Dow futures were slightly below fair value. S&P 500 futures sank 0.1%. NASDAQ 100 futures fell 0.35%. So looks like we're going to start the day down, but we'll see if it still comes back or if we do wind up going in the downswing after the big retail season is over. Let's see what's happening. Yes, you are here at the beginning, Silent Caster. The 10-year Treasury yield fell 2 basis points to 1.65%. Crude oil futures tilted higher. Before the open, American Petroleum Institute said U.S. crude stockpiles fell by 6.4 million barrels. Last week, gasoline inventories swelled over just 7 million barrels. The Energy Information Administration will release official stockpile and production data for crude oil and gasoline on Wednesday morning. Yeah, I'd actually like to see how much of the stockpile we burned up over the holiday season. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. Let's grab one quick from CNBC and let's get into the news of the day from CNBC. Stock futures a little changed after the Dow notches a record close from Yoon Lee. Stock futures were mixed in early morning trading Wednesday after the Dow notched a record close the previous day as investors flocked to shares that stand to benefit from an economic recovery. Futures on the blue chip Dow and the S&P 500 were flat, while the Nasdaq futures moved 0.3% lower. Early losers, including Dow Component Salesforce, which fell more than 2% in pre-market trading, following a downgrade from UBS, which also cut Adobe, sending its shares down 1.8%. Markets also faced pressure from stocks associated with the economic opening. Wynn Resorts fell 2%, while Las Vegas Sands was off 1.5%. With COVID cases rising, pharma companies were under pressure, with Regeneron down 3% following a downgrade from Bank of America. Bank of America gave an upgrade to Pfizer, however, noting that the company's profits from the Pinko-Pox treatments provide upside for the stock, which means that you, the taxpayer, are paying for them. Shares moved 1.7% higher in pre-market trading. So isn't it funny? The taxpayer gives the money to the government, which gives the money to Pfizer, which donates some of it back in kind to the government, but we're not supposed to talk about that, which then gives money and equity back to Bank of America. That's 3 people in a chain of 4 that got rich, and one of them wasn't you. The move comes as investors look for clues on where the economy stood heading into the new year. ADP will be out with its monthly private payrolls count at 8:15 a.m., with the Dow Jones estimate at 375,000 for December. That report will come ahead of Friday's more closely watched non-farm payrolls count, which is expected to show a gain of 422,000. Investors also awaited the release of minutes from December Federal Reserve meeting. Policymakers decided then to accelerate the pace of the monthly bond buying taper and indicated that 0.75 percentage point interest rate hikes are coming in 2022. They also adjusted their outlook on inflation and economic growth. However, the market will be looking for additional information on where officials see policy heading, particularly on what will happen with the Fed's nearly $9 trillion balance sheet. So, a few things to watch and see with that, plus the debt ceiling is going to rise, so national debt is going, we're going to inflate the currency more. Aren't you excited? Aren't you excited? This is what your finance is coming into a midterm year. All right, let's see what's going on with the major news of the day. I want to start with this this kind of fun little video here. Because the caption launched 1 million tweets yesterday. Armor of a soldier wounded by cannonball at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. So yes, you can kind of tell the kind of wound that this guy got. Let's have a look. Let's have a 360-degree look at the kind of wound that this guy got. Yeah. That might be a little bit more than a wound. I don't know that that dude walked away from that. That's an old boy that might be hurting just a little bit. Just a little bit. 'Tis but a flesh wound. Wounded. I am wounded! I am missing half of my rib cage and one of my lungs. I am wounded! And a lot of people are coming in with the same thing. He wounded? Are you sure? So, that's what we see from that. Wounded. Yeah. Alright. Let's be serious. Let's be serious, shall we? Here's why you probably don't need to rely on a VPN anymore. From Kelvin Collier. VPNs, or virtual private networks, continue to be used by millions of people as a way of masking their internet activity by encrypting their location and web traffic. But on the modern internet, most people can safely ditch them. Honk. Thanks to the widespread use of encryption that has made public internet connections far less of a security threat, cybersecurity experts say. Oh, really? What cybersecurity experts say that? Most commercial VPNs are snake oil from a security standpoint, says Nicholas Weaver, a cybersecurity lecturer at the University of California, Berkeley. Oh, it's a Berkeley guy. It's a Berkeley guy that's out here saying that we don't need to have a VPN. Oh, wow. You don't say. They don't improve your security at all. It's a development that highlights how cybersecurity landscape has changed. Hackers are less likely to target people's individual devices and instead focus on the login information to their most important accounts. For years, experts warned it was dangerous for average people to use the Wi-Fi at a public place like a coffee shop without taking steps to obscure their internet traffic. Someone sharing a Wi-Fi network with strangers was essentially sharing all their traffic with others who were using it. If someone decided to check their bank balance, for example, they ran the risk of a nearby hacker being able to steal sensitive information. VPNs offer a way to counter that problem. VPNs reroute a user's internet traffic through their own servers. They can slow browsing speed, but provides the benefit of hiding the user's internet protocol address, which includes their general location from the websites they visit. But that's no longer a problem. It once was. Most browsers have quietly implemented an added layer of security in recent years that automatically encrypts internet traffic at most sites with a technology called HTTPS, indicated by a tiny padlock by the URL. The presence of HTTPS means that worrisome scenario in which a scammer or hacker squats on a public Wi-Fi connection in order to watch people's internet habits isn't feasible. Yeah, see, one of the people that I want to keep out of my browsing is the government. And NBC, I understand, of course, is a private company, but NBC, who acts for the most part as a mouthpiece for the government, if they're telling me that I don't need a VPN, that just makes me want to go out and get two. I'm just saying. When NBC is coming out and saying you don't need a VPN, that's what makes me want to go out and not get a VPN. But I also do agree with one of the points that's in this, especially with the people who are given free VPN, this VPN with ads, or pay for this VPN, or pay for this, or pay for that. I think a lot of the ones are snake oil. And you should really do a lot of research to see what's actually going to be a good VPN, not just pick up the first thing you find in the App Store. Definitely you should go and check out and make sure that you have done a lot of research. Make sure you know what's being routed, what isn't. Maybe do a few tests, but yeah, if NBC is telling me I don't need a VPN, yeah, okay. Alright. Let's start with a title card from the news from Fox 5 Atlanta. New COVID variant named IHU discovered in France. Is it actually the initials? Every time I've ever seen it, it's been capitalized. So is it just the IHU variant? Is that what they're calling it? Is it the IHU variant? Is it what? I've only ever seen it written. I haven't seen anybody talk about it out loud yet. So I have no idea. But it is the IHU variant, or IHU, I hate you variant. Like, why won't you just let us take control again? Let us be globalist. Let us break down the barriers and flood the countries that we don't like with third worlders. Come on, I hate you. Just let us take control. This is from Fox 5 New York staff. So this has gone through the Fox 5 network. I actually found this on Fox 5 DC originally, but when I got home I found it in Fox 5 Atlanta, and now it's from Fox 5 New York. The new COVID variant has been detected in France. The variant has been named IHU. It was found to have infected 12 people living in an area near Marseille, a port city in southern France. Health officials found the IHU has 46 mutations. That's even more mutations than were found in Omicron. The mutations, guys! The mutations! Oh my god, the mutations! The cases have been linked to travel to the African country of Cameroon. The new strain has not been spotted in other countries, and yet the World Health Organization has not labeled the new strain a variant under investigation. It has not put any strains on the list since it added Omicron in November of 2021. This is the official statement from France. Un nouveau variant COVID-19 est détecté à IHU Méditerranée infection issue des patients de folklore. Il a été baptisé variant IHU disposé sur Gisa sous le nom B11C4 Doctor. What that says, I have absolutely no idea. I can't read French. Clearly. The WHO considers variants of concern ones that increase in transmissibility or increase in virulence or decrease the vaccine effectiveness. Experts say new variants keep emerging, but it does not mean they will be more dangerous than previous strains. According to a paper posted on medRxiv, the strain carries the E484K and N501Y mutations, which can make it more resistant to vaccines and can make it more transmissible, but it is unclear if either of those things will happen in it. New York has seen a surge in cases fueled by the Omicron variant. The Ermagerd variant. The silver lining has been many of the New Yorkers appear to be coming down with a less severe form of the disease. Across the U.S., new COVID cases have tripled in the past 2 weeks to over 400,000 a day, the highest level on record, amid a rush by many Americans to get tested. I'm willing to bet that the number is actually way higher than that. I'm willing to bet that we're actually seeing like 700,000 cases a day that are forming, that are becoming new cases a day. But at this point, half the country has looked at this and said, okay, you've been heaping the snake oil on us for 2 years now. Fuck it, I ain't getting tested anymore. If I die, I die. It's time to live life once again. I would actually be willing to come out and bet that the number is higher at this point. Like, a lot higher, like almost double. The high infection rates and resulting worker shortages are putting a heavy burden on employers, large and small. Thousands of airline flights have been canceled in recent days. Many companies have shelved return-to-work plans. Ermagerd accounted for more than 95% of the coronavirus infections in the U.S. last week. According to the CDC, the number of new cases in the U.S. topped 1 million on Monday. So, there you go. The IHU variant is here. IHU. Run in fear. Let the globalists take over. So they can put all the water, all the chemicals in the water. Turn the frickin' frogs gay. Reading in from the New York Post on the I Hate You variant. WHO official downplays the new IHU COVID variant discovered in France. The seriousness of a stagnant COVID variant identified in France in November was downplayed by the global health officials, who said they were still watching it closely on Tuesday. The variant, nicknamed I Hate You, after the research hospital it was discovered in, probably originated in Cameroon, scientists said last week. It was identified in 12 patients in the Southern Alps around the same time as the highly transmissible Ermagerd variant was surging in South Africa, officials said. The variant has been on our radar. Abdi Mahamoud, a WHO incident manager on COVID, said at a press briefing in Geneva on Tuesday, according to Bloomberg. That virus has a lot of chances to pick up. The news came as France saw its average daily caseload more than doubled in a week, with a record of 271,686 COVID-19 cases recorded there on Tuesday. IHU's patient zero has just returned from Africa when scientists at IHU Méditerranée Infection in Marseille discovered that he was infected with an atypical mutation of the virus. How exactly do you discover that? No, I'm dead serious. The vaccinated man developed mild respiratory symptoms the day before the diagnosis, researchers wrote in their non-peer-reviewed article published on medRxiv. It's too early to speculate on virological, epidemiological, that's a $5 word, or clinical features of this IHU variant based on these 12 cases, they said on December 29th. The WHO has not yet declared the new mutations a variant of interest or a variant of concern according to its website. Well, one thing I know about the WHO is we won't be fooled again. So, they're trying to say that don't worry about it, go party in Chinatown. Worry about the Ermagerd variant. But that's what we see off that. All right, since we're doing Pinko-Pox news, let's listen to the houseplant chief tell us once again that it's free to you.
We have in hand all the vaccines we need to get every American fully vaccinated, including the booster shot. So there's no excuse for anyone being unvaccinated. This continues to be a pandemic of the unvaccinated. So we got to make more progress.
Statistics and the number of cases that have popped up versus the people who remain unvaccinated determined that was a lie. You've had more cases since you got to the 70% mark than 30% of the population, which determined that this was a lie. So either you're lying about the numbers of cases or you're lying about the numbers of vaccines. Which is it? If this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated, of course. Which we all know at this point that it's not.
And for patients who still haven't gotten your kids vaccinated, please get them vaccinated. Look out for their interest here. It's the best way to protect them. And for parents with kids too young to be vaccinated,
right into the hand.
Surround your kids with people who are vaccinated. And make sure you're masking.
Stay in your bubble, your echo chamber.
In public, so you don't get COVID and give it to your kids. We have in hand.
There's no excuse. Just please go out and get vaccinated. My Pfizer handlers are asking questions, man. Come on, man. 80 million votes. Most popular president in history. All right, from the Daily Mail. Moment, science teacher with no medical qualifications injects son's friend, 17, with Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine at her home without the boy's parents' consent as school puts her on leave and cops probe where she got the vial. I feel like I just read the whole story. That's just the headline. From Michelle Thompson for DailyMail.com. The moment a Long Island teacher jabbed her son's 17-year-old friend with a Pinko-Pox vaccine without his parents' permission was caught on video. Footage made public shows Laura Parker Russo, 54, cleaning the unidentified teen's skin as she prepares to administer a dose of the Johnson & Johnson jab into his right arm. As Russo smiles, the teen can be heard saying, "There you go, at-home vaccine," in a video obtained by NBC New York. The outlet reported the vaccine, being the Johnson & Johnson brand, which is only recommended for adults. Whoa. I mean, by the time you're 17, you're mostly to the adult stage of your life anyway. Like, most everything is done growing and now just matures at that point. But still, no. She stuck the needle into the boy's arm on New Year's Eve. Police said the vaccine was authentic, but it's unclear how Parker Russo, who has no medical qualifications, obtained it, and cops are now investigating the matter. Russo, a Herrick's High School biology teacher, according to an online bio, was arrested and charged after the teen returned home and told his mother about the shot, according to Nassau County Police Department. The mother had not given permission or authority to have her son injected with a COVID vaccine and called the police, the department release said. Oh, we actually get to watch this. How fun is that?
Yeah, there you go. At-home vaccine.
Getting vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go, you dig?
Look, we'll just do the tiny needle.
You dig?
Yeah, there you go. At-home vaccine.
Getting vaccinated. Mm-hmm. Let's go, you dig?
Look, we'll just do the tiny needle.
After an investigation was conducted, it was discovered that Laura Parker Russo is not a medical professional or authorized to administer vaccines and was placed under arrest without incident. Yeah, that's just a little bit serious. The married mother of 6 was charged under state education law with unauthorized practice of her profession. She is set to appear in court later this month. Herrick's public school superintendent, Fino Salino, said in a statement that Russo has been removed from the classroom and reassigned as the case is investigated. Russo is married to John Russo, a Seacliffs, New York realtor, who in an online bio said the couple was raising a Brady Bunch family. Here's a story of a lovely lady. I suppose that actually fits. She described in her own online blurb being a lifelong Long Island resident who loves her profession as an educator. Not anymore. Too soon. She's a member of the Seacliff Civic Association, which organizes community events at the villages 25 miles east of Manhattan. You don't know that, Marie. There she is with her husband. There they are riding the ponies. Russo could not be reached for comment. Mount Sinai South Nassau's chair of medicine, Dr. Aaron Glatt, said the amateur injection could have had more serious consequences. I'd hate to see it because of the implications and the fact that, you know, here is somebody who is young at the prime of his life who's going to wind up getting sick of it. But man, oh man, would the irony ever be there if this be one of the cases that got myocarditis? And God forbid that the kid pass because of myocarditis, because of an injection that his biology teacher gave him in her home with a jab that nobody knows how she got yet. I am afraid to think of what would happen to this woman at that point. Besides being illegal, it's just not a smart thing to do. He told NBC an authorized licensed professional should be providing the jab to know how to give them properly to make sure there's a complication that it can be dealt with immediately and very efficiently. Nassau County Police say they're not sure how Russo obtained a vial of the vaccine, but that they're investigating the source. Yeah, there is so much wrong with this. There have been several reported incidents across the country in which minors have been vaccinated without the parents' consent. In early December, an LA mother claims her 13-year-old son, who has asthma, received the vaccine without her knowledge, NBC reported. Maribel Duarte said her son returned home from Barack Obama Global Prep Academy in South LA with a vaccination card after he accepted the Pfizer vaccine in exchange for pizza. I should have been involved, Duarte told NBC LA. That lady gave him a shot and signed the paper, told my son, please don't say anything, I don't want to get in trouble. So, there you go. That's some more of your jab news. I hope this kid winds up being okay. As much as I'd like to see the maximum level of consequences go to something like this, like a medical decision by a teacher outside the parents' consent, as much as I'd like to see the maximum consequences, I don't want to see this kid die, dude. Alright, what else do we have? Oh, this stupid fucking story. Reuters did a fact check on this. Photos and video of positive COVID-19 home test results for tap water are not evidence that SARS-CoV-2 is in the water. Full story. Yeah, that's not why people are putting their COVID-19 tests in tap water, you dumb fucks. Have you never been 17 and never been angsty and not given a fuck? Seriously? Or 37 and angsty and not giving a fuck? Oops. No, they're not doing this because they want to show you that there's COVID in the tap water. They're doing this because they want to show you that the home PCR test is a piece of shit. It doesn't do a goddamn thing. And you guys over at Reuters would be well to learn the fucking difference here. Why? Why are we in the dumbest timeline, you guys? How are we in the dumbest timeline? Let's read from Reuters. Who spent journalistic time on this? Fact check. Home COVID tests were not designed to use water or other liquids, manufacturer says. Hey! I wonder if I can get a positive off this thing of bang. Hey, you guys, you want to try out? Hey, get your video out. We'll be famous on TikTok for that, you guys. They're not doing this to try and prove that there's COVID in this this jar of bang, or this cup of bang. They're not doing that to try to see that there's COVID in this one. They're doing it because they're going to get some online clout. There is no evidence to support social media claims that water droplets testing positive for COVID are proof that the virus particles are in the water supplies. Representatives for Abbott, a U.S. manufacturer of home COVID tests, which is also, by the way, right in sunny Illinois, told Reuters that the tests are not being used as intended and that other liquids have chemical properties which can cause a chemical reaction on the test strip, resulting in misleading or inaccurate results. An example of the claim made in a video was posted to Facebook in December of 2021 and can be seen here. The 30-second clip does not show the test process from beginning to end, but does show the swab being held in running tap water. This is instead of the 6 drops of extraction reagent specified in the kit's instructions seen here on FDA.gov. The video also disregards many additional Abbott guidelines, including the suggested 15-minute wait time. A similar post featuring a photo of a positive home test bears the caption in part, I really hope that y'all don't drink faucet water. Y'all might not believe me, but the water tested positive for COVID. I test people every day. This is what I do at work. Okay, you might be the idiot. But for the most part, when you see somebody doing the test on the tap water, on the Bang, on the Mountain Dew, on the Jello, or whatever the fuck else they're doing it on, it's for TikTok clout. Reuters had previously debunked claims that pink pox is in water supplies. In this piece, guidance from the WHO explained that the pinko-pox was not in the drinking water due to treatment methods used to neutralize infectious pathogens. It actually probably is in the drinking water. No matter how much fluoride you pump into that shit, you're going to get some level of disease coming up in the drinking water. It just happens. But you have an immune system that's designed to take care of that. And as transmissible as this stupid fucking thing is, yes, it is probably in the water. The WHO, they're supposed to be the gold standard of this whole thing. But just the statistics alone, they're full of shit on this one. Yeah, it is Avatar. I've never seen Avatar, so I had no idea. But yeah, it's The Last Airbender is what's marked on the YouTube channel. Let's see. In a statement to Reuters, the US EPA said that there's no higher priority for the EPA than protecting the health and safety of Americans. EPA is providing this important information about the pinko-pox as it relates to drinking water and wastewater to provide clarity to the public. The Kamikoof has not been detected in drinking water supplies based on current evidence. The risk to water supplies is low. Americans continue to use and drink water from their tap as usual. So, that's what we see off of that. Let's grab one from Fox 13. Governor DeSantis press conference delayed after protest. Jacksonville civil rights group leader detained. This is from Fox 13 staff. The president of a Florida civil rights group was handcuffed Tuesday morning after refusing to leave a building where Governor DeSantis' press conference was supposed to occur. I don't know why I said it as occur. DeSantis was scheduled to hold a COVID-19 press conference at 10:15 a.m. at the Florida Department of Health. In Jacksonville, however, a handful of people were inside the room who were without press credentials, including Ben Frazier, the founder and president of Northside Coalition of Jacksonville. The group is described as a group focuses on the problems of a social, racial, and economic justice, according to its website. Early on, Frazier was heard telling staff that those who were not members of the press were present to hold the governor accountable, saying that he wanted to speak to the governor about his response to the pandemic, adding that the public had the right to be there when a public official was present. It's time for him to address the people. There's nothing private about public health, Frazier said, and also called the governor the enemy of the public. One aide continued to ask Frazier to leave, but the community activist replied, "You're going to try to stop the people from gathering on public property. Go get the governor." Hello, FBI. The woman, who did not have a press credential, was heard saying, DeSantis was missing in action! Last week, during the Ermagerd surge, DeSantis spokesperson previously said the governor accompanied wife Casey to cancer treatment. Oh, funny, I'm sure that the liberal outlets forgot to mention that on December 29th, the day several accused the governor of being missing. Another man identified himself as a member of Take 'Em Down in Jacksonville, a group focused on removing all monuments dedicated to white supremacy, according to their Facebook group. I want to talk to the governor about his policy regarding the pandemic, regarding critical race theory, regarding all of his policies that are negatively affecting the community, he told another governor aide who offered business cards to the individual. A man who described himself as the facilities manager said the room is usually locked and an appointment was scheduled for the press conference. He was heard telling Frazier and others that he could have them trespassed. That's when law enforcement arrived. The governor is afraid to meet with the people, Frazier said, as an officer handcuffed him. When it comes to public welfare, the governor does not care. Well, no, you're actually trespassing. And see, this is the ironic part of this entire thing. The major irony of this and the entire part of the fact that they're being handcuffed and taken out while going to try to talk at a COVID press conference is that the actual rules that are in place right now for Florida, because on most cases, yes, during a press conference, anybody with a camera who wanted to ask a question in Florida actually would have been able to go up and talk to the governor. except for the fact that they're limiting it to press passes right now and people who are invited by the media because of COVID protocols. Because they're all in a small room together and they want to have the space to socially distance. So they want to be in there to come in, make demands of the governor that he come and snap his fingers and fix everything. Because they're all afraid of the COVID and they're trying to jam themselves into a room that's specifically designed to hold X amount of reporters because of the pinko fucking pox. But that's what we see coming out of Florida. So, National Pulse is not green check verified, but I found an older article that confirms what was said in this article here. So, Posobiec comes out with the breaking news and tells us, breaking, Democrats planning to build permanent insurrection memorial at the U.S. Capitol. So, reading from CNN, Pelosi announces plans to commemorate January 6th anniversary at the U.S. Capitol. This is from December 30th of last year, updated at 7:57 p.m. from Paul LeBlanc. House Speaker Skeletor on Thursday announced the slate of events around the U.S. Capitol next week to commemorate the one-year anniversary of the most important day of their lives, the day that they finally have come up and found a way to use people's fears to try to take control of the country. These events are intended as an observance of reflection, remembrance, and recommitment in the spirit of unity, patriotism, and prayerfulness, Pelosi said in a letter to her Democratic colleagues. Starting at noon on January 6th, there'll be a prayer and a moment of silence on the House floor. Hey, I don't want to hear your thoughts and prayers. Is that how you do that? Am I doing that right? And a moment of silence on the House floor, followed by a historic perspective, a conversation between historians Doris Kearns Goodwin and John Meekum to establish and preserve the narrative of January 6th. Yeah, they're trying to preserve the narrative, aren't they? They're definitely trying to preserve a narrative here. Lawmakers will then share their accounts of the attack in a session presided... Oh my God, they're going to spend taxpayer money on this. Presided over by Colorado Democratic Rep. Jason Crow, followed by a prayer vigil with members of the House and Senate on the steps of the Capitol. A prayer vigil for what? Ashley Babbitt? The Selfie Fest, which began as members of Congress worked to certify the results of the 2020 presidential election, commanded the nation's attention as violent scenes of selfie takers going up to officers and being attacked, essentially, and destroying parts of the Capitol were broadcast live across the country. The ensuing chaos led to the deaths of multiple people the day of the attack and shortly thereafter, while several officers who responded to the Capitol during the attack later died by suicide. To the back of the head. More than 700 people have been charged by the Justice Department in connection with the Selfie Fest. The House Select Committee, tasked with investigating the attack, has interviewed scores of former President Trump's allies with the goal of providing a way to keep him from being elected in 2024, with the initial findings by next summer. The White House said earlier this month they will also commemorate the anniversary of the attack, but no further details were provided. I'm sure it will be probably a ruddy metal statue of a young cow. Do you think that's what it could be? I don't know. All right. Because I need to lower the intellectual level of this program, we'll read a tweet from Occupy Democrats. That should do the trick. Breaking! Capitol rioter who went to prison after bragging she would because she has blonde hair and white skin claims she's being scapegoated like Jews in Germany. because she's been called Insurrection Barbie. Retweet if you think she's closer to a Nazi than a Jew. Yeah. They actually went there. They actually went there, didn't they? From the Hill. Woman called Insurrection Barbie compares treatment of her to Jews in Germany. From Michael Schnell. She's right-wing, so she must be a Nazi. I'll just back this up for just a second. Whatever they think this is a violent riot, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people in the front of this crowd just taking video. I see one guy in a crisp, clean red MAGA hat standing in the front talking to people. But for the most part, I don't see a lot of people insurrectioning. I think I see a lot of people chanting. And a couple of people throwing bottles. There's your insurrection. A convicted Capitol selfie taker, who said she's been called Insurrection Barbie, compared the treatment that she received to Jews in Germany in a new interview. Jenna Ryan, a Texas woman who pleaded guilty to misdemeanor charges after walking into the Capitol on January 6th, I'm not going to use the S word, suggested to NBC News in an interview last month that the backlash she has received is similar to the treatment of Jews in Germany, apparently referencing the Holocaust. They're making fun of my skin color. They're calling me an Insurrection Barbie, Ryan told NBC News 5 days before reporting to prison in an interview that will air on Tuesday on NBC Nightly News. They have no idea who I am as a person, what my beliefs are, what I've been through, who I am, she added. They see me as a one-dimensional caricature. They don't see me as a human. Well, see, when you come out and you say something like, I won't go to prison because I have blonde hair and white skin, you've kind of made yourself a one-dimensional caricature. She then suggested that white individuals are being treated as scapegoats, likening it to the Jewish people in Germany. And so, that is the epitome of a scapegoat. Just like what they did to the Jews in Germany. Those were scapegoats. And I believe that the people who are Caucasian are being turned into evil in front of the media, Ryan said. Asked if she was equating her circumstances with that of the Holocaust, Ryan said that she did not want to discuss the matter more because of retribution she may receive. So, yeah. We'll see what happens with that. 34% of Americans say violence against government is sometimes justified, new poll finds. From Devon Cole. 34% of Americans think that violent action against the government is sometimes justified, according to a new poll from the Washington Post, where democracy goes to die in darkness, and the University of Maryland released days ahead of the one-year anniversary of the Selfie Fest at the U.S. Capitol. The new figure is considerably higher than in past polls by the Post or other news organizations dating back to more than 2 decades. According to the newspaper, the survey conducted between December 17th and 19th revealed stark partisan splits on the question. 40% of the Republicans and 41% of independents said violence against the government is sometimes justified, compared to 23% of Democrats. Although, when they weren't in power, it was probably 70 to 80% of Democrats. In a separate CBS News YouGov poll released on Sunday, 62% of Americans said they expect violence over losing in future presidential elections. 38% said they expect the losing side will concede peacefully. At least a quarter of Americans said force might be justified depending on the situation. regarding issues like civil rights, gun policies, election results, and labor. Thursday marks the one-year anniversary of the January 6th Selfie Fest, during which supporters of then-President Trump and many FBI agents walked into the Capitol in an attempt to stop lawmakers from certifying the results of the 2020 presidential election. Rioters attacked law enforcement officers and destroyed parts of the iconic building, with the violent event leading to the deaths of multiple people the day of the attack or shortly thereafter, while several officers who responded to the Capitol during the attack later died by suicide. There's only one person who died at the event, and it was Ashley Babbitt, and that is, of course, assuming that she even existed. I think there's some merit to what Ignoramus has to say about her. I don't know if it's true or not, but I think that it's got some merit, at least. It's worth looking into. Let me put it that way. The post-UMD poll found that 60% of Americans feel that Trump bears a great deal or good amount of responsibility for his role in the attack. Self-identified Republicans and Trump supporters in the poll tended to think that he bears less responsibility. And people are pointing out, too, by the way, that this country was literally founded on violent actions against the government. Some idiot. I gotta see if I can find that tweet. You guys won't believe that. You guys won't believe that if I tell you. I gotta find that. Let's see if we can find that quick. It might take a while. I tweeted a lot of shit. I've talked a lot of shit yesterday. Yeah, it was here. It was here. All right, let's bring this one over here. And then draw ourselves back over to the CNN one here. So when this was announced by CNN over on Twitter, they came out with a tweet, because they always do, because they have to pat their own ass every time they do something. 34% of Americans think violent action against the government is sometimes justified, according to a new poll released days ahead of the one-year anniversary of the Selfie Fest at the U.S. Capitol. Cherish, Knofun, who is an agent of life and blue check. Let's check the early life section on this guy. Says that's literally how this country was founded. And Mitch Kumstein, great name by the way, came out and said, "But that was against a foreign government." To which he got rightly fucking roasted for. Including your great host here, who says, well, here's the deal. It wasn't a foreign government until after the violence. Before that, it was just the government. Yeah, it's a foreign government now, but at that point, it was just the government. Look, I've said the same thing over and over again about committing violence against the government. If you gotta do it, you gotta do it. It's gonna happen. But guys, don't bring the fight to them. That is a losing battle. That is a losing proposal. If you bring the fight to the government, they're better at killing than you are. And if you bring it to them, you're all conveniently put into one little box where they can go back and start firing at you from, or at, whatever. You're all conveniently just one little area right there where they can come back and say, hey, we got them. They're all there. But if the government decides it's time to bring the fight to you, which they are starting to talk, like that might start to happen here in the next few years, if they're intent to bring the fight to you, some of you will lose your lives over that. But they're not going to be stacking bodies in the street for very long before some people start looking back out and saying, hey, are we the bad guys here? But yeah, let them bring the fight to you. Just ask the people in South Vietnam how that works. All right. From the Daily Wire. Capitol Police Chief says force is still 400 officers short ahead of the Selfie Fest anniversary. From Mareed Elordi. The chief of the Capitol Police said Sunday that the force is still 400 officers short as it prepares for the anniversary of the January 6th Selfie Fest that took place last year. Capitol Police Chief Tom Manger said the force has addressed many issues this year but has struggled to maintain its numbers as the force hemorrhaged officers following the events of January 6th. The one thing that we have not been able to fix, so to speak, are the staffing issues. We've lost over 130 officers that have left through either retirements or resignations on after January 6th, Manger told host Trace Gallagher on Fox News Sunday. Meanwhile, the Pinko-Pox pandemic shut down the National Federal Law Enforcement Training Academy for 10 months in 2020, hindering the Capitol Police's ability to train new officers, Manger said. Between not being able to put any academy classes through prior years with the attrition, the way it's been over the past year, we're now really about 400 officers short of where we need to be, and that's a pretty critical issue for us, Manger said. Why do you need 400 officers? Why do you even need 400 officers to guard? How big is the mall? I have no idea. Let's find out. How big is the National? There are 146 acres for the National Mall. I actually didn't think it was that big. That's actually quite a bit bigger than I thought it was. By like a lot. But still, 400 officers, 400 police officers, plus whatever they already have. For 146 acres, are you out of your fucking mind? Why? Is there not another agency that can assist you? Hell, that's excessive for 5 square miles of Washington, D.C. Manger came out of retirement to begin leading the forces in July, 6 months after the Capitol Selfie Fest. The previous Capitol Police leadership was ousted after the Selfie Fest amid criticism for her failure to protect the building inside which legislators were voting to certify the results of the 2020 election in what was largely a ceremonial election. Like, there really wasn't a way for that to get changed. Since he took the helm, the Capitol Police has attempted to address some of the issues that were blamed for the Selfie Fest. That includes new equipment for officers, expanding training sessions with the National Guard, and better mental health services for officers, among other improvements. The fact that we have the authority to call out the National Guard, the fact that we have formal processes in place to get additional resources from the area law enforcement agencies is a big improvement, and we believe it would have prevented something like the Selfie Fest from happening, the chief said. Manger also described his personal experience watching the Selfie Fest unfold, saying that he was particularly upset watching the assaults against the police. Well, go over to McLean. Go over, walk into the office of the Deputy Director of the FBI and tell him to knock his fucking shit off. End of story. And then go into Quantico and tell all those people that they're bad, bad people. You're not far away from either one of those cities. It's like a Sunday drive for you. You probably know the guy. You don't probably even have to go to McLean or Quantico. You probably just meet the guy in the bar. Hey, tell your people to stop beating the shit out of my people, fucker. As I was watching the events on the 6th, a very emotional day, alternately just angry, just horrified by the assaults that were going on against police officers there, Manger said. Manger previously said the effects of the Capitol Selfie Fest went well beyond the physical damage to the building. I think that the damage that was done on the 6th was not just the physical damage to the Capitol itself. That was just not the harm, the injuries, the deaths that occurred to the men and women of the Capitol Police Department, the demonstrators, to the folks that were on the Capitol grounds that day, Menger told the Associated Press in September. The damage went beyond that. It went to where it damaged, I think, the confidence of the American public that the Capitol would be adequately protected. Well, maybe it shouldn't be. That's the thing. That is still the people's house. But once again, if you go to the government, if you go up to the government and try to invade the government, you are accepting the risk of whatever comes to you at that point. And it's probably not going to turn out well in your favor. I'm a little bit surprised that more people didn't die at that point, because a lot of that was fish in a barrel. And a lot of these Capitol Police officers, I would say, did show some amazing restraint that day. That much I would say. From the Hill, Trump cancels January 6th press conference. From Max Greenwood. Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea. Former President Trump is scrapping a planned news conference on the one-year anniversary of the Selfie Fest. The former president had planned to use the Thursday news conference at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach as a counter-programming for a scheduled prayer service. As counter-programming for a scheduled prayer service at the Capitol to commemorate the events of the Selfie Fest. In a statement, Trump blamed the House Select Committee charged with investigating the Selfie Fest for the cancellation. He said that he would instead touch on many of the themes that he had planned to discuss in the news conference during a rally in Arizona set for January 15th. Yeah, that is his statement. I was looking through this. I'm like, do I do this in Trump voice? Yeah, I do this in Trump voice. In light of the total bias and dishonesty of the January 6th Unselect Committee of Democrats and 2 failed Republicans, but of course, folks, I repeat myself, it's the same thing. They're all the same. They're terrible people, okay? And the fake news, it's the worst, okay? The fake news media. I am canceling the January 6th press conference at Mar-a-Lago on Thursday, and instead we'll discuss many of these important topics at my rally on Saturday, January 15th in Arizona. It'll be a big crowd. It'll be the best crowd, okay? Come in here. Get your vax, okay? We gotta get everybody out on the vax, okay? Let's do the vax thing. Get in here to Arizona and come and support me. I'm gonna run for president again, okay? Grover Cleveland. That's gonna be the next thing. He said. The Donald was expected to use the Thursday news conference to reiterate his false claim that the election was stolen from him, widespread voter fraud, honk honk, 80 million votes, criticized the House Select Committee investigation into the events of the Selfie Fest when a mob of FBI agents led a few Trump supporters into the Capitol building for entrapment purposes as lawmakers met to go through the ceremonial process. His remarks were expected to serve as a split screen to a solemn prayer service in Washington that will mark the worst attack. Oh my God, the Hill just likes to touch themselves, don't they? Is that Cynthia Nixon? Holy shit. I have no idea who that was, but she looked rough. Wow. While the Donald still commands the loyalty of the GOP and its voters, his planned news conference stirred anxiety among some Republicans who feared that the party and its candidates would be forced to litigate the 2020 election and the former president's false claim of fraud in the 2022 midterm elections near. Or as the midterms near, rather. I'm sure that everybody was so disappointed because I'm sure that, Maddow and Reed and all the rest of these people were all ready to start scribbling notes. They already had their their shows planned of what they were going to come out and say and how they were going to say it and how they were going to spin it. All right. Let's get some thoughts and prayers with the people over on I-95. But first, let's laugh at Kamala Harris. Harris ripped for tweeting, "America is moving again," with hundreds stranded on I-95, from Andy Mark Miller. Vice President Kamala Harris was mocked on social media Thursday after claiming the U.S. is moving again, thanks to President Biden's infrastructure spending, as hundreds of motorists remain stranded on Virginia's I-95 due to a winter storm. "Because of the bipartisan infrastructure law, America is moving again," Harris tweeted on Tuesday. "That's what infrastructure is all about, getting people moving." The tweet was immediately met with criticism from users accusing Harris of being tone deaf and posting photos of the stranded motorists. And a friend of mine, Politibunny, over on Twitter, actually I found this particular article because she tweeted out that Fox News made her famous. "Good news, Virginia stranded on I-95. Kamala says America's moving again. LOL, wow. How absolutely tone deaf is the person writing your tweets, Cammy?" Cammy, actually, I'm going to use that from here on out. It's going to be Cammy Harris from here on out on this program. Where's my fountain pen? All right. New notes for the show. Some users responded to Harris by posting a tweet from Virginia Democratic Senator Tim Kaine, who was stuck in the traffic jam. There's Tim Kaine right there. "I started my normal 2-hour drive to D.C. at 1 p.m. yesterday. 19 hours later, I'm still not near the Capitol. My office is in touch with Virginia DOT to see how we can help other Virginians in this situation. Please stay safe, everyone." The Virginia Department of Transportation is warning drivers to stay away from Interstate 95 Tuesday morning, so crews can free hundreds of drivers who are stranded in slow-moving traffic in temperatures well below freezing in what officials are describing as an unprecedented event. Yeah, this dude's out there on the road playing football while waiting for traffic to clear up. So it does look like they are freed up right now, that they've opened this all back up and they got all the cars back off of there, but still. All right. From NBC4 out of Washington, D.C. "Never seen anything like it. Driver stranded for 24 hours on I-95 in Virginia." From Sophia Barnes and NBC Washington staff. "Drivers are finally off Interstate 95 after being stuck in 50-mile stretch in the Stafford County, Virginia area for more than 24 hours, the DOT said. There are no people still stranded on I-95, VDOT announced in a tweet. Less than 20 vehicles left to be removed from the interstate before plow trains will come through to remove snow and ice from the travel lanes. Those 20 vehicles were abandoned amid the backup caused by a collision involving multiple trucks during a major snowstorm that left snow and ice packed on the road. The interstate reopened at around 8:40 p.m., VDOT said. Looks like we actually have video too. We're making significant headway to remove disabled vehicles and tractor trailers from I-95, and the plow trains will come through to remove snow and ice. I-95 northbound is still closed between exit 104 and Route 207 in Caroline to PW. I-95 southbound is closed at exit 152 to exit 136 in Centerport Parkway. Let's watch. Oh, we gotta pull that one up a little bit. Yeah, so it looks like it's just they got everything cleared up to a point where they could get people to the exit. Many drivers ran out of gas in freezing temperatures. Some didn't have food or water. And children, pets, and people with medical needs are among those stuck in the traffic nightmare. Senator Tim Kaine, who represents Virginia in the U.S. Senate, was among those trapped on the highway. Vanya Messiah was trapped in the gridlock with her young children and out of gas. Traffic came to a halt for them at about 9 a.m. Monday. 12 hours later, they had barely moved, and the mother's fear grew unbearable. I just keep thinking they're going to die in this cold, she said Tuesday, nearly crying. It was freezing. My daughter's cheeks were so cold. Finally, a firefighter came to their window, and Messiah shouted for help. Can you please just take my kids? You don't need to take us. Just take my kids, please, she recalled saying. The children spent the night inside of the ambulance under blankets on a gurney. Drew Wilder tweets out, my kids haven't eaten in 26 hours. I had to get out of and use the restroom in the middle of the road at 4 a.m. I might have done that on the best of situations. The tow trucks aren't coming and the hotels are full. Just a few of the quotes from people stranded on I-95 in Virginia overnight. A Maryland mother who was worried about her kids were going to freeze when they ran out of gas after being 2 hours from home for 36 hours. A firefighter found them and let them sleep in the ambulance last night. They're still stranded without fuel. F. No injuries were reported. I'm actually a little bit curious on this because I see residential area behind here. I guess if it was me and I lived in that area, and I was thinking about this too, even if it did break me, I would go get as many gas cans as I could and start just bringing them out and filling people's tanks, or topping them off at least, just to keep them going for a little while. You know, if you get 10 people doing that, you'll keep some warm to a point. You're obviously not going to fill everybody up all the way, all the time, but enough to keep people warm at least, enough to keep them going for another hour or two. But if you even got 100 people from a residential area like this coming out here and helping out like that, I don't know. That's the power of private charity to me. But they are free. They are out. They got a few cars to get off of there, and you can continue to barrel down I-95. From the Daily Wire. Ralph Northam invokes January 6th to explain slow response to freezing and stranded drivers. Classic fashion, go blame somebody else. Democratic Virginia Governor Ralph Northam, as Rush liked to use to say, invoked the January 6th Selfie Fest on Capitol Hill when he was asked Tuesday why it took so long to deploy the National Guard in an effort to assist stranded and freezing motorists caught in the snow and ice on I-95 in his state. Mike Valerio, who covers the White House, Justice, and Election Security for CBS affiliate WUSA 9, tweeted 4 p.m. update. Governor Northam just described the response to the January 6th Selfie Fest, saying it took a long time to deploy the National Guard as a way of illustrating why his office says the Guard could not be deployed to I-95 on such short notice. Valerio added, 4 p.m. update, Governor Northam says no injuries on I-95 as thousands are trapped, says state troopers are walking up and down offering food, medicine to people in need. Reuters foreign policy correspondent Idris Ali appeared to contradict Northam's claim, however, noting that the disastrous road conditions had come up at Tuesday's Pentagon briefing, and no one there had been asked for help. The situation on I-95 is so bad that it's rightly being asked about at the Pentagon briefing whether the military has offered to help the situation. Pentagon says no requests have been made for them to help, Ali said. And yeah, I mean, the federal government can't come out and just deploy that into Virginia, either. If it's happening stateside on state grounds, then the Virginia has to deploy it, essentially. Best I can tell, there have been thousands of Virginia motorists trapped in freezing conditions for about 26 hours. Some of them are surely children, seniors, and people in need of food, medicine, water, etc. And Ralph Northam sent a tweet about it 7 hours ago, Rory Cooper added. Yeah, and I kind of remember, too, being made fun of because when I drove to Florida with Steven, I had the air on a little bit colder than he likes, and he told me it was because of my northern blood. and that he needed to turn the air down because he was fucking freezing. Now, this was in June in Virginia. So, when we're going through Virginia, and yeah, they're not prepared for something like this over there because they don't see it all the time. I saw that Leibt to the Max had said something about putting blankets in a car right away, and I'm like, well, you and I, because you're not far from here as far as I know, but you and I are used to doing something like this. I mean, we've been through this before. We do this almost every year. Not so much anymore now that I don't have to depend on the interstate to go to work every day, but we do this often. We know how this goes. But yeah, I think a lot of this did catch a lot of people by surprise. All right, from the Hill. 60 groups urge Senate Democrats to reform the filibuster for voting rights. From Jordan Kearney. Great, we have lobbyists getting involved in this. Dozens of outside groups are urging Senate Democrats to reform the filibuster in order to pass voting rights legislation that will get shot down by the courts, as the caucus nears a decision point on potential rules changes. 60 organizations sent a letter, which was exclusively obtained by The Hill ahead of its release, to Senate Democrats on Monday, arguing that a December debt ceiling fight showed how the 60-vote legislative filibuster could be circumvented. Just as we needed to extend the debt limit to avoid economic calamity, we need to pass federal democracy and voting legislation to safeguard our democracy, the groups wrote in the letter, which was spearheaded by pro-reform group Fix Our Senate. And just as you had earlier been prepared to recognize that the U.S. economy is more important than the filibuster, we urge you to make a similar assessment when it comes to our democracy and our right to vote, they added. An October fight over the debt ceiling put new pressure on Senate Democrats to potentially nix the filibuster for raising the nation's borrowing limit. Republicans, in part driven by an effort to relieve pressure on Democrat Senators Manchin and Sinema, who both support the 60-vote threshold, agreed to a short-term extension. In December, Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell and Majority Leader Chuck U. Schumer struck a deal to set up the one-time exemption to the 60-vote legislative filibuster, though the bill that set up the workaround and prevented Medicare cuts still needed 60 votes to clear the Senate. The bill to increase the debt ceiling into 2023 was able to pass the Senate by a simple majority. And here we are. So yes, a bunch of progressive lobbying groups, 60 lobbying groups, wrote a letter. And you know what the fun part about these 60 lobbying groups is? They can come out here and say, do this or else, do this or else. And yet, no matter what happens, these 60 lobbying groups, every member of these 60 lobbying groups are going to vote for Democrats anyway. This is not who the Senate needs to court if they don't want to get their asses handed to them. If they don't want to get their asses handed to them. Coming up in the midterms. They need to sell this idea to people who weren't going to vote for them anyway. That seems to be the hardest part of all of this, as it's not the fact that these people are coming out. They're trying to use the government to force their will down the throats of people who don't necessarily believe, rather than trying to come up and say, hey, this is why this is a good idea. Don't you agree with this? But the lobbyists running the government once again. From Axios, Ted Cruz. Biden could face impeachment if GOP retakes House. From Shauna Chen. Ted Cruz said in a recent podcast appearance that President Biden could face an impeachment if Republicans retake the House. The White House hit back on Tuesday with Press Secretary Red-Haired Bobblehead calling on Cruz to focus on getting something done rather than name-calling, accusation-calling, and making predictions of the future. I would say shoe on the other foot, but we're tired of that at this point. I'm tired of that at this point. It doesn't do anything. In a December episode of the podcast Verdict with Cruz, Cruz was asked if a Republican House would impeach Biden. Yeah, I do think there's a chance of that, he replied. Democrats weaponized impeachment, they claimed. The more you weaponize it and turn it into a partisan cudgel, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I think there'll be enormous pressure on the Republican House to begin an impeachment proceeding. The other side. Our reaction is maybe Senator Cruz can work with us on getting something done on comprehensive immigration reform or putting in place measures that will help make sure smart security is what we see at the border, Psaki said on Tuesday's White House briefing. Oh, they're absolutely going to impeach Biden if they retake the House. They might, if they keep fucking with the economy the way they do coming into an election year, they might actually have enough votes in the Senate to pull his ass out of there and pull Kamala with him. It would have to be two separate trials, obviously, but they might have the votes to come back out and do this. They've definitely got the charges. And I'm sure that a lot of Democrats, especially the Geek Squad, won't have any committee assignments either. The way they keep fucking around. Alright, speaking of Congress. From the New York Post, Bobby Rush becomes the 24th House Democrat not to seek re-election. From Kelly Pattison. Yeah, I think that might be time. I think maybe last term he maybe should have thought about that. Jeez, look at that guy. Go spend time with your grandkids, dude. Representative Bobby Rush will announce Tuesday that he will not seek re-election to his 16th term in Congress this November, he told the Chicago Sun-Times on Monday. Rush, of Illinois, founder of the Illinois Black Panther Party, was first elected to the House of Representatives in 1992 and became famously bested then State Senator Barack Obama in the 2000 House Democratic primary, making him the only person to defeat Obama in any election. I don't want my grandchildren to know me from a television news clip or something they read in the newspaper, Rush, 75, told the Sun-Times. I want them to know me on an intimate level, know something about me. I want to know something about them, he added. I don't want to be a historical figure to my grandchildren. Though Rush is retiring from Congress, he intends to remain active in Chicago's beloved community church, where he serves as a pastor. Over 30 years in Congress, Rush may be best remembered for donning a hoodie on the House floor following the shooting death of Trayvon Martin in 2012. At the time, Rush was escorted off the floor, breaching House decorum. Last week, the lawmaker announced he had contracted a breakthrough case of the pinko pox, though he noted he did not have any symptoms. Rush's district, which covers most of Chicago's south side, is expected to remain in Democratic hands. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. After the November election, he is the latest Democratic lawmaker representing a safe district to give up his seat as Republicans eye taking back the lower chamber of Congress this November. The GOP needs to win a net of 6 House seats to regain the majority, and polls indicate it's on track to do just that. So, that's what we see coming off of that. From the Blaze. The Biden admin issues new gun control rule in response to Michigan school shooting. From Phil Shiver. The Brandon administration announced a new firearms rule this week in response to last year's tragic school shooting in Michigan that aims to ensure all gun owners have secure storage devices for their guns. The new rule, detailed in the Department of Justice press release issued Monday, requires all federally licensed gun retailers to certify that they have secure gun storage devices that are specifically compatible with the firearms they are selling, available on-site to customers. According to the Justice Department, acceptable devices include a safe, gun case, lockbox, or other device designed to be or can be used to store a firearm that's designed to be unlocked by only means of a key, combination, or other similar items. That's usually not a problem because one thing that I know about gun owners, and I know a lot of them because there are 2 FFL dealers in my family. One thing I know about gun owners is that they love gun safes. They love them a lot. So it's just a marketing thing to go back and put those on the shelf for people to go back and be able to buy. The new rule amends and officially codifies gun storage requirements already mandated under the Gun Control Act of 1999 for new federal firearms license applicants. With the new rule, the requirements will be law for any place where firearms are sold under the license to non-licensed individuals. The department also noted that integral to the new rule is a requirement that FFLs have available secure gun storage options that are compatible with firearms that they are selling. The rule has been submitted to the Federal Register for publication and is set to go into effect on February 3rd and can be read in its entirety here. So, as usual, I will link this in the Discord and I'll put it on Twitter afterwards too. Let's go drop this in the Discord quick. Put that up in general chat. So in the article I just put in the Discord, there is a place where you guys can go and find the entirety of the rule that's been submitted. For public record, of course. Alright, what else do we have? Wisconsin Democrats, Republicans both want Ron Johnson to run. From Tal Axelrod. At a time when Democrats and Republicans can agree on little, they find themselves at a rare consensus in Wisconsin. Seemingly everyone there wants Senator Johnson to run for a third term. I don't! You know why? Because he promised that he wouldn't. And I remember him promising that he wouldn't. Well, I stand in solidarity with the people who are in favor of term limits for Congress, and this is going to be my last term. I'm not going to seek a third term in the Senate. You said that on Hannity, fucker. I heard it. You said that to Sean. And now here you are debating whether or not you're going to go back on that. Democrats view him as vulnerable, pointing to provocative comments on the coronavirus, 2020 election, racial justice, protests, and more, and are eager to take another crack at him. Republicans see Johnson in a battle-tested incumbent who has twice proven his mettle in a key swing state. Should Johnson run, whichever side is right about him would have a leg up in Wisconsin's hyper-competitive Senate race, where a victory could be key to controlling the entire upper chamber, which is currently split 50-50. I think you'll find almost every Republican in Wisconsin and outside Wisconsin wanting Ron Johnson to run because that's what's at stake. And that's the majority of the Senate for Republicans, said Brandon Schultz, a GOP operative in the state. If he doesn't run, that makes it more difficult. Ron Johnson is what you get when a QAnon and the Tea Party have a baby, and I hope that he does run. His candidacy makes the race far more competitive for Democrats. Wisconsin Democratic consultant Ben Knuckles added, if Republicans want to see him run, I'll agree with them on that. Yeah, the thing is, he promised. He promised that he wouldn't. So, go away, Ron. Go away. Let somebody else go back and do this. But that's part of the problem with this, too. Because, you know, obviously the progressives and the progressive left aren't listening to Hannity. Or Vicky McKenna or any of these other people. Well, they are listening to Vicky McKenna, but I mean, they're not listening to these people. They don't remember the fact that he said that he wasn't going to run. So they spent the last 6 years carefully curating an attack ad against Ron Johnson. They don't have anything against anybody else that they could run over here, because the assumption is going to be that it's going to be Ron Johnson again, which he shouldn't. Put your money where your mouth is. If they run any Republican other than Johnson, the Progressive Party of Wisconsin is fucking crippled on their attack ads. But that's what we have from that. Got one from the Associated Press. Trump, Ivanka, and Don Jr. subpoenaed in New York's AG probe. From Michael R. Sisak. The New York AG's office confirmed Monday that it has subpoenaed former President Trump and his two eldest children, Ivanka and Don Jr., demanding their testimony in an investigation into the family's business practices. AG Letitia James' office said in a court filing that it recently issued subpoenas seeking testimony and documents from the Trumps as part of a years-long civil probe involving matters including the valuation of properties owned or controlled by Trump and his company. Monday's filing, made public as James went to court in a bid to enforce the subpoena, was the first time the investigators publicly disclosed that they are also seeking information from Ivanka and Don Jr., both trusted allies of their father who've been executives in the family's Trump organization. Lawyers for the Trumps filed court papers on Monday evening seeking to block the subpoenas, calling them an unprecedented and unconstitutional maneuver, and accusing James of attempting to obtain testimony that could be then used against the Trumps in parallel criminal investigation being overseen by the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on here, but Letitia James, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna prosecute the Trumps. So, we'll see what happens with that. I don't think it's gonna happen, but they're going to try. They're going to subpoena everybody. We're going to get everybody in here. But do you know who they're not going to prosecute? Manhattan DA dropped COVID nursing home probe of Cuomo, according to a lawyer. From Carl Campanile and Bernadette Hogan over at the New York Post. The Manhattan DA's office has dropped a probe into Andy Cuomo over allegations he mishandled nursing homes during an initial coronavirus outbreak, the ex-governor's lawyer said on Monday. Helton 2022. Seat to be named yet. Cuomo spokesman forwarded a statement from Elkan Abramowitz, an attorney who repped the governor's office under Cuomo. I was contacted today by the head of the elder care unit from the Manhattan DA's office who informed me that they have closed the investigation involving the executive chamber and nursing homes, Abramowitz said. I was told that after a thorough investigation, as we have said all along, there was no evidence to suggest any laws were broken. We investigated ourselves and we found that we didn't do anything wrong. The Post reported last August that the state health department had retained an outside law firm to deal with inquiries regarding nursing home decisions from the Manhattan DA's office, as well as State Attorney General Letitia James and the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District. The Manhattan Prosecutor's Office, now headed by the DA Alvin Bragg, declined comment. The probe was initiated by ex-DA Cyrus Vance Jr., whose term ended on New Year's Eve. It was under Vance that the investigation was quashed last Thursday, the source told the Post. Yeah, surprise, surprise. So, he's going to get taken down for feeling people up, but no criminal charges. Alright, got just a couple quick hitters yet, and then we'll get through everything today. Then we'll do something I'm thankful for and head out of here for the day. From Reuters, Iran vows revenge for Soleimani killing if Trump is not put on trial. From Reuters. Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi vowed revenge on Monday for the U.S. assassination of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani 2 years ago, unless former U.S. President Trump was put on trial. Iran and groups allied with it in Iraq have been holding events to honor Soleimani, the commander of the Quds forces, the overseas arms of the elite Revolutionary Guards. He was killed in Iraq in a drone strike on January 3rd, 2020, ordered by then-President Donald Trump. If Trump and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo are not tried in a fair court for the criminal act of assassinating General Soleimani, Muslims will take our martyrs' revenge, Raisi said in a televised speech on Monday. On Sunday, Iran urged the UN Security Council in a letter to hold the U.S. and Israel, which Tehran says was also involved in the killing, to account, according to Iranian media. Days after the assassination, the U.S. told the UN that the killing was self-defense and vowed to take additional action as necessary in the Middle East to protect the U.S. personnel and interests. Yeah. See, you don't get to dictate who gets put on trial over here in our court. So, I mean, take it to the UN, but good luck. Because you're breaking their rules left and right. A little bit of sports ball news for you here from the Today Show. The Washington football team announces plans to reveal new name and identity. From Scott Stump. 18 months after retiring its longtime name and becoming the Washington football team, the NFL franchise in the nation's capital is ready to unveil the newest team name. The Washington football team shared on Tuesday, that it will officially announce the organization's team name, logo, and identity on February 2nd, live on Today. The franchise has been known as the Washington football team since July of 2020, when it announced it was changing its name from the Redskins, which was long condemned as an anti-Indigenous slur. Goodell said in a statement at the time that he was supportive of the important step. The move came after years of efforts by Native American groups to have the name changed, as well as the reignited focus on racism in the wake of the death of St. George held be his name. FedEx, which owns the naming rights for the team's home stadium, also called for the franchise to drop the name. They don't say in here what the name is going to be, but there's been talk across the Twitter sphere yesterday that it's going to be the Washington Commanders, is what it sounds like it's going to be. So, the Washington Commanders, which I don't know why they didn't just stay with the Washington football team. They could have little barcodes for their numbers to show just how generic they were, just a regular white uniform, change their team colors. So many things that they could have done. Alright, and the last one, before we do something that restores my faith in humanity, from Rolling Stone, a little bit of an update on the new music scene. Nevermind Baby's child porn lawsuit against Nirvana is dismissed. From John Bilstein. The lawsuit filed by the Nevermind Baby accusing Nirvana and others of child porn has been dismissed. In a ruling issued Monday, January 3rd, Judge Fernando M. Olguin tossed the case after plaintiff Spencer Eldon, who appeared on the album Cover Nude when he was 4 months old, failed to respond to a motion to dismiss filed by Nirvana and other defendants on December 22nd, 2021. Oral arguments regarding the motion have been set for January 20th, and Eldon's legal team have been given a deadline of December 30th to respond. Per the ruling, however, Eldon will have one more chance to issue a second amended complaint with a new deadline of January 13th. If he doesn't, the suit will be dismissed without prejudice, which means another suit could be filed in the future. Eldon's attorney at Marsh Law said they will pursue an amended complaint, telling Rolling Stone, in accordance with the court's order, we will be filing a second amended complaint very soon. We are confident that Spencer will be allowed to move forward with this case. Eldon, who is now 30, sued Nirvana, Kurt Cobain's estate, photographer Kurt Weddle, and various record labels back in August, alleging each knowingly produced, possessed, and advertised commercial child pornography, and that they failed to take reasonable steps to protect Spencer and prevent his widespread sexual exploitation. While Eldon had long embraced the fame that came with being the Nevermind Baby, in the suit he claimed that he has suffered and will continue to suffer lifelong damages. Which, one of the few things that goes along with this, of course, as we look in with Nirvana and the statement that Cobain was trying to make with this, with the baby chasing a dollar through the pool, is that you are chasing the dollar throughout your life. And here is Spencer Eldon, now 30 years old, still chasing that motherfucking dollar. You can't make this shit up. Alright. And with that, that's all the news, and the last thing we're going to do is something that restores a little bit of my faith in humanity. Now, actually, even though I hate having my hair down onto the headphones, I will remind you that I've got this going on here right now. Usually I keep my hair cut a little bit short, nice and tight and short here, but I got this going on right now here Because of Cancer Wig, and because, I mean, my life has been touched by cancer. A lot. There's a lot of it in my family. Both blood and non-blood, too, by the way. In-laws and people that are not technically related to me that I still call my family. There's a lot of cancer in my family. A lot of it. I've had a person who was as close to me as any mother could be to her child. I actually called her mom when I was in high school still. Died of lung cancer, stage 4. Heavy smoker, so that was it. My real dad, my actual biological dad, who very important to me as well. His youngest sister died of stage 4 lung cancer. My uncle's wife, who not blood related to me, still family though, obviously. My aunt, brain cancer. And that's just a couple of them around me too. I've seen kids die of cancer, people my age die of cancer. It's been all around me, all over the place here. Hell, my grandpa got cancer. What, if my mom's watching, what is it, like 7 times my grandpa got cancer? At least 2, I know that. So that's been, I mean, that's a huge thing for me. That's why I'm growing out the hair, and it's going to become somebody's wig somewhere down the line. But I saw this, and I knew that I wanted to cover this. This is from the New York Post. Andrew Court writes, Keanu Reeves donated 70% of his Matrix salary to cancer research, and in spite of what I hear, because I think that movie wound up sucking from what I understand off of it, I mean, it's Keanu Reeves first and foremost, and it's The Matrix second most. That's not an insignificant chunk of change that he donated out to cancer research from Andrew Court. The patron saint of excellence does it again. Keanu Reeves donated a huge chunk of his earnings from the original Matrix movie to cancer research, a new report claims. Reeves, 57, was reportedly paid $10 million up front for his 1999 sci-fi flick before earning another $35 million when the movie became a box office blockbuster. According to Lad Bible, the actor donated 70% of the money, a whopping... Oh, so this is for the original. I thought this was for the new one. 70% of the money, a whopping $31.5 million to leukemia research. The cause was near and dear to the Reeves' heart, as his younger sister Kim had been battling the disease for 8 years at the time that he made the donation. Kim was diagnosed with the blood cancer in 1991 and spent a decade in and out of treatment before finally entering remission in 2001. Reeves has continued to give money to research in the years after Kim was cured, even creating his own cancer fund. Whoa. So, and that's her. The Speed star secretly set up the nonprofit, which reportedly ran for years without any attention. Never seen that movie, by the way. Speed. I have a private foundation that's been running for 5 or 6 years and helps aid a couple of children's hospitals in cancer research. Reeves is quoted as telling Ladies' Home Journal in 2009, I don't like to attach my name to it, I just let the foundation do what it does. Meanwhile, in 2020, Reeves auctioned off a 15-minute Zoom date with himself, with the money donated to Camp Rainbow Gold, a summer program for Idaho children with cancer. Whoa. The winning bidder purportedly paid more than $19,000 for the brief date with the Hollywood heartthrob. Unfortunately for the winning bidder, Reeves is off the market. He's been dating artist Alexandra Grant for several years. The stars also had a long friendship with actress Winona Ryder after they filmed Dracula together in the early 90s. I didn't know that either. I've never seen that movie either. The pair played lovers and their characters married in the movie. In November last year, Reeves revealed the pair may have actually married in real life as the priest conducted the on-screen nuptials in a church. Oh. Well, no, you would know that because the government wouldn't know that. It'd be in the government register if you were actually married, but still. Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. That's not an insignificant chunk of change. for the first movie even. Like, seriously. $31.5 million to leukemia research. Good for him. Absolutely. That's amazing. So, good on that. And with that, I think we're going to head out of here for the day. Where's the outro music? Still digging the fact that I can click on stuff and the computer just reacts. It doesn't wait and think about it for a bunch of time like the laptop does. Man, that was getting hard towards the end of last week, but we got through it and we're back here. Alright, so thanks everybody who came by and chatted with us over here in the live chat. Everybody who came by and hung out with us in the morning, and everybody who's going to come back and catch us back on a later date as well. We'll be back here tomorrow morning for more contemporary, more news headlines, and probably a lot more January 6th stuff because, hey, it's coming. They got to get those articles out because they don't want to be known as the outlet that didn't talk about January 6th. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Ukraine probably. We'll talk about vaccines because that mandate's going to be coming up. Oral arguments begin on Friday for the vaccine mandates, by the way. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll go from that. I got to get myself out to work because they're floundering over there. And we will see you guys here next time for more Contemporary. And until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.